And I just want to quickly address, because you've really spoken this and it's interwoven in the conversation, is that your relationship with faith. And if you didn't have faith, how would your life be different?
So it was so interesting going through your questions, right? And Natalie, this is what it showed me. I said, how am I, Women Connected in Wisdom, these questions about connecting to community and why women's community is so important? And I said, why is it important? I know why it's important to me, right? Because I didn't know my mom for 12 years. And then when I met her, she got sick and then she passed away.
Welcome back to Her Daily Rhythm, the podcast dedicated to empowering you to live in harmony with your mind, body, and spirit. I'm Natalie Smyth, your host, a registered naturopath on this journey with FemVeg, a holistic wellness platform dedicated to supporting women from menstruation to menopause, making health management easy and stress-free. Her Daily Rhythm, if you haven't been here, celebrates the unique biology of women's bodies, from the complex rhythms of the menstrual cycle to the hormonal shifts throughout our daily life stages. And by really tuning into these natural rhythms, you can optimize your daily routines, self-care, and overall health. They don't have to be complex. So just as the earth has its natural rhythms, so do our bodies. And these rhythms guide everything from our sleep patterns to our energy levels, and understanding them is key to living in balance. We really do dive into this in this episode because wellness doesn't have to be in a bottle. It's how you tune into yourself. I'm delighted to be speaking with Shannon Mitchell. She's an Amazon bestselling author, keynote speaker, a serial entrepreneur, and she is passionate about reconnecting women through themselves through daily self-care and intentional community. She offers tailored resources through her ventures, and her businesses include Shealo Glo, which we speak all about, an all-natural skincare company helping women with dry skin to glow from head to toe. Women Connected in Wisdom, a podcast, book series, and community that shares self-care stories and resources from all of the global experts. And Connected Women in Wisdom, a press hybrid publishing company helping aspiring authors create new revenue streams through publishing. So stay tuned for this episode because we really have a wonderful conversation about having the courage to adapt and take risks and build community. See everyone you meet as a co-creator instead of a competitor, helping you steward and seed your vision in your life. And that truly life is a metamorphosis if you're willing to surrender and connect with something beyond yourself. So put your headphones in, go for a walk, sit down, have a cup of tea, and listen to this really heart-opening conversation. And as always, please like, subscribe, or share this to somebody that would benefit. It helps us impact a global community because we are on a mission of connecting women across the globe to hear and connect ancient wisdom, ancient stories from our ancestors, as well as reconnecting them with the science too. And please drop any comments or questions below too, so I can answer them on the following podcast next week. Wow, what incredible achievements. Welcome, Shannon.
Thank you for having me.
It's really exciting. So, there's quite a lot there, but it seems to be woven through a thread. And I think what a lot of women don't realize is that historically women are the entrepreneurs, and in our society, it takes a lot of courage and unpacking a lot of things and to be an advocate in your community. It sounds like that you're doing that really well. So I would love to hear about your journey so far and how you've been interested in advocacy and entrepreneurship.
Mm-hmm. So what comes up for me when you say women and the spirit of entrepreneurship, right, and the task of entrepreneurship, it reminds me of one of my friends, and she's a few generations older than me, and she was going in for this position, and it's like to manage this house with people who come in and out, kind of in between an Airbnb and a hotel, right? And she had never done anything like that, and she was kind of nervous about a few skills. I said, "You've been doing that. You're a grandma, like, you know how to do this. You definitely know how to do this. And with your other professional experience, it's going to be fine. You'll see, you know?" And that's what I think about is just the things we do every day and the transferable skills that sometimes we minimize or discount that this is even relevant, but that's the one simple thing that really makes everything flow and makes it sustainable. And that's what we're talking about with, her daily rhythm. And when I think about, for me, wellness comes from just seeing people that I care about be sick, and you want them to be better. You want better for them. And with you being in this position of asking, are they going to do what they need to do to be the best they can, right? It is a mirror back to yourself of, am I going to do what I need to do to be the best that I can? Where am I at right now? And that's something I've been thinking about for a while, growing up with parents who have been sick and friends with parents who have been sick.
Hmm. I think there's a lot there. Firstly, it's that we are all wisdom holders and we doubt ourselves a lot. And
Mm.
so, how and why do you have that confidence to back your people in your community?
Because the power doesn't come from me, right? When I run out of power, and even if my power tank is full and that's where we like to stay, that comes from God. Right? In every situation, Natalie, I've done great, right? I've worked hard, I've put in the hours, and it's not enough to actually do what I'm doing. You know what I mean? Like, including business. It's me and Christine and God and Sino with Shealo Glo and God, because of the way that these things have worked out. So that's where the confidence comes from. And that's how I'm able to come from a place of validation instead of for validation, because here in America, we could talk about differences, right? Like insurance. We talked about that on the call before. It's a completely different conversation. So where I would be if I lived in the UK, if I lived in India, if I lived in different places, that story could look different based on being born in 1993 or being born in 1903. So when I think about the value of each person and where that comes from and living in purpose, that can't come from changing clothing trends on Shein or different places. It has to come from a more divine place. And for me, that's God in being an heir in what I believe is the heavenly kingdom, right? Like that's a huge thing. And that's different from somebody telling you, hey, you're a young Black girl, you can't read or write. This is actually what you're going to be doing. Like, wait a minute, what? So to keep that posture, that's what I anchor into.
Mm. And it sounds to me like that you certainly do have a trust and a surrender when maybe some people don't. Particularly what we notice in America right now is that there is separation and division. There's black and white, right or wrong. There's only two up, not what you just spoke about, whereas there's this unity, which is religion, spirituality, whoever your God is. So
Mhm.
I guess for people that are maybe lost right now, or they're going through illness with their parents, their
Yes.
loved ones, they don't know their place in the world. Anxiety is everywhere, timelessness is everywhere. You
Mm.
really back yourself, but this is quite common for someone born in 1993, for
Mm.
example. So I feel like that has been a strength and practice. Have you got there? And what would be the advice that you would have told your younger self?
And when you say got there, do you mean in the confidence and
In
backing
the
what I
the
do?
Exactly, the trusting in your co-creator or the person that you're in relationship with,
Mhm.
trusting, backing what you do, and then trusting your relationship with divine source, God, whoever
Okay.
you recognize.
We were just talking about it on the Vixen Voice, right? And April mentioned the 4 agreements, and one of them being do your best. And so
Mm,
there's a story in the Bible that talks about these, let's call them like tokens that he gave 3 different people, right? And part of the lesson in this story is about what did you do with what you had? So you're comparing yourself to this person who you feel like I gave more to, but what did you do with your part? Right? And so that's what I think about when I think about doing my best. How can I trust anybody that I'm partnering with? We talk about self-love and community, and it's like, oh, well, you can't trust anybody more than you trust yourself. You can't love anybody more than you love yourself. So first it starts with you. Just like the airplane, oxygen mask, take care of yourself first, right? And then when you are coming from a place of healing, and doing your best. And I know that even if I had 30%, I gave 30%. Okay, now what can my partner do? And this is this person in front of me, whether it's romantic, whether it's business, right? A classmate. And are they going to do their best to do your due diligence? And again, trust but verify. The first part is trusting that this Natalie's competent. I'm looking at the best in her, right? There might be differences, but we celebrate those, right? Like, what do we need to work together? And if there's an off day, we can talk about that. Things happen. That's what we're talking about, right? How to navigate all the things that happen in life. And then if there's a situation where this person doesn't want to work with you and they're difficult and something's going on, we have to be able to talk through that as well. And if that's difficult, that's another conversation somewhere else. And trusting yourself to have those conversations, that's a big thing.
Mm. It goes back to
Mhm.
that trust point, and then originally what you spoke about, that life is a mirror and everybody around you is a mirror of your internal environment. So could you speak to that? Have you witnessed how people show up around you is an
Yes.
internal reflection? Is
Mm. So it depends, right? I want to go to the third part because this is what I use to correct it, right? Is a trusting God because I'm going to do my best, right? I'm going to try to surround myself with people who are going to do their best, right? And together we might have 78%, you know, and we're honor students. So we like our grades to be a certain way, right? And God always pushes it over and I feel like gives extra credit, and there's situation after situation where I can show that. A lot of times when I look at the story, there's something that feels like it's missing. There's the money for college, right? But instead of having the money to pay for college, my tuition was covered for 4 years because of my grades. And I
mm,
was an RA on campus. So room and board was free monetarily. Now it took my time as a sacrifice. I had to do a lot for that free rent, but it was beautiful the way that things fell in place and things were taken care of. So because I trust those things that I'm going to do my best, that the people around me are people of integrity and they're going to do their best. And if I feel like it's off, probably because they're not okay. And I need to check in on them. And that's what community is there for. And then the Holy Spirit is the ever present counselor. God is going to take care of it. And thankfully, He's consistent out of all of us, right? So it depends, right? It's what you're seeing. It's not who they actually are. That's the thing. That's the house
mm,
of mirrors that we live in our mind, right? Because Natalie might be upset, right? But if I'm upset, I might think that she's upset at me. But now here we go with all this stuff when if I would just come from a neutral place and a centered place and a place of removing myself and seeing and being in Natalie's shoes and really seeing like what's on Natalie's plate today and then understand, well, maybe this, and this, like that would make anybody like that, of course. So again, it's not who they are and what they're doing, it's the way that we're seeing it, right? Um, and sometimes what I meant in the example is that if I'm trying to tell Natalie, "Hey, I see you eating gummy bears, X, Y, and Z," if I as your friend, am gonna say, "Hey, you asked me to be your accountability partner. I wanted to talk about this." Having that conversation is an opportunity for me to also be introspective and check where am I with gummy bears? Because I did have a bag this week and I usually don't. And I'm okay though. I'm like, Are you eating because you're sad? Or are you eating because what's going on? Sis, I'm okay. Yes, and
mm,
that's okay. And that's where we are. And just realizing that it's not about nitpicking people apart as you communicate in community, right? And as you give feedback, it's just, hey, you have a booger in your nose. I wanted to let you know. Your tag is out on your shirt. I wanted to let you know because I would want you to let me know. So I'm not out here looking crazy.
mm. And it feels like it's that relationship with true honesty, which people, I think, now with social media and, younger people that have only grown up in a world of social media, that time to create space and reflection, unless they are grown up in a household of faith, is
Mhm.
not there. So, I guess what how are you, since you are run like a community, you have your business, you have your SheaGlo, what are
Okay.
you noticing with women in your community right now?
And I said this the other day, the first thing that comes up is that there isn't anybody who's not going through a lot.
Mm,
Like before, if somebody was sick, somebody had cancer, it was like, "Oh, wow, this person is sick." Like, that's crazy. Now it's like, yeah, everybody's sick. Everybody has 4 or 5 people that are sick. It's almost like an epidemic of constant tragedy right now. It's how it feels, you know? And so how do you operate through that on a daily basis? How do you give yourself grace, right? We talk about rhythms. How do you stay on your rhythm when all this other stuff at different paces are trying to throw you off of your rhythm? It's a question worth diving through the answers for. I'm excited to be here because a lot of that stuff you can't control. And that's what you were talking about with the surrender. Okay, if I know I need help in this area, I'm gonna have that in my community. And if we can't talk about that, it seems like the season of you being in this part of the community is uh past and we continue on. And that's how we evolve and, grow.
mm. And I think it's important to highlight what you're saying is that society has given us this promise that you go to university, you get married, have the kids, you climb your career ladder, and you're supposed to have relationships 100%, friendships, family, health,
Mm,
finances, all in this cycle of life. Everything is flowing 100%. But that
mm,
is not true. So I think it's that realization that it can't be 100% all the time, but at least if there's like half I'm feeling joy and in flow with, I can give to those other parts and be those roles, maybe for somebody, and then it will swap as well.
right. And
How, mm,
it flows, right? But there's also the need of a foundation. There are
mm,
foundational things that need to be kept, right? Like certain people who help people build wealth talk about your housing, your food, clothes, transportation, right? When you keep those, you have the pillars to try to have some type of stability so you can then move forward. What I was excited about starting to talk about the 8 dimensions of wellness on Women Connected and Wisdom was that wouldn't necessarily call it a modality, but that way of thinking of wellness, right? And then couple it with Maslow's hierarchy of needs, because I knew that if you don't get out of the survival mode or the love and belonging, then you are not self actualizing. But if you're in a certain place who is telling you that everything about being a woman and the type of woman that you are is less than in some type of way and muting you in some type of way, you're never going to get to self-actualization, But instead, if you surround yourself in an environment with people, and that's what I was thinking about with the mirrors, they can be mirrors in ways of, watching my friends become mothers and wives and single mothers. And I'm like, absolutely not. It looks crazy right now, but guess what? One, you live there, you live in the house, so it's gonna look lived in, right? Two, the fact that we're talking about money means that money is flowing. We have things to have conversations about, like, "You've been doing great. You are not outside right now. You're doing great,"
mm,
In that way, be a mirror in that way, it doesn't have to be a hall of mirrors. If it's a hall of of horrors, with the nightmares running around and you feel like that's what you're seeing reflected everywhere, that might be you. And if it's
mm.
not you, maybe there's something that you can do to support that person that's making it that way. And again, if not, if it's abusive or something in community, then that's when we start removing ourselves and just gardening, and trimming things and pruning the garden.
Can you talk about your 8 dimensions of wellness? Because I think they're very holistic and
Mhm.
it's a true foundation and template to build community, and be in this world of PTSD, as you
Mhm.
say.
Mhm. And I think absolutely. I think about it as post-traumatic growth, right? Because we have no choice.
Mm,
And I love it. And so what I knew growing up is that a statistic is still part of the 100%. Right? So you get to choose which part of the 100 you want to be part of. And I'm not saying that we choose PTSD. It's not an optional, like, you check the box, please. Yeah, send me the emails. Like, no, that didn't happen.
mm,
But if we're looking at these details intentionally, knowing that we are post something traumatic, like this was a lot, and we look at it, what are the things that we can make art of? What are the things that we can grow from and grow with? And the 8 dimensions of wellness, I'll start with the 2 that I talked about. In volume 1, it's physical wellness, right? And that's one of the foundational ones. If your physical wellness goes to 0, what does that mean for your financial wellness? Like, what does that mean for your social wellness, you know? And I didn't know how to take care of my body. I was reminded of being a little girl at Girls Inc. And Natalie, one of the women that worked there, stripped me naked in the kitchen. Girls walking around and everything, right? And was washing me because I was growing up with my dad and he wasn't, there weren't updated hygiene conversations through certain transitions, you know, that it wasn't a conversation. And he was adopted. So when we talk about development and support and community and making sure somebody has what they need, there's like levels to this, right? And so to go from being that person who needed help to like, okay, baby girl, like you need to rinse off, clean your skin, right? Make sure you're using soap. You need deodorant now. You didn't need deodorant before, but you need it now, you know? And now I actually use 2 types of deodorant. I use the natural deodorant on the first layer, right? And then the powder deodorant as a second layer to protect my skin and have that barrier. Um, but
I really love that. And I would love for you to explain to our listeners why you do that too and why that's so important.
yes. So again, going back to having parents that had cancer, you know, my grandmother had cancer. My dad, they removed his stomach. He had cancer and he's still here. Like that's a crazy survival story, you know? So I decided that cancer is a non-negotiable. These chronic illnesses are non-negotiable. They've got to go. I'm not it doesn't live here with me. I like my pillows fluffy, okay? Fluffy, cool, and waiting on me. Not with this, you know, all of those things. I said, okay, I'm going to be intentional about my wellness and do what I need to be able to do my best, whatever that looks like. And what we found in this research is that deodorants and the products that we're using are causing cancer in our bodies. So that's why natural products are really important to me, right? Why I'm intentional about the ingredients that go into mine and have had it esthetician tested and approved. I don't want my deodorant and me smelling powdery to increase my likelihood of breast cancer. I think that's a fair request. So yes, first I use the natural deodorant on the bottom, the first layer of my deodorant, and then the degree as a second layer.
And then we are eventually going to get to SheaGlo, but I don't want to
Yes.
miss on this point is
Yeah,
that
no, of course.
you started your investigation into realizing that products that we put on our skin, there is a correlation between that and cancer. So that must have been pretty overwhelming. And
Mm,
can you also speak about how that we can't outsource our beauty and livelihood in product? And it's our responsibility in research and connecting women led, not you're not a social enterprise, but product.
mm. Right. Yes. Yes. So how do I say it? Because the question is, when we're looking for female-led businesses, why do we look for the ones we look for, right? And that takes me to volume 2 and the other dimension of wellness that I talk about, intellectual wellness and how to maximize your capacity. Again, this is not about maximizing your capacity so you can maximize the number of things on the to-do list and go from what they suggest is 3 to 100 a day. That's not what it's about. But it's about in the time that we have, and we don't know how much time we have, right? How can you maximize your potential? How can you do your best every day? And so the question is, what do I need today? Right? Do I need financial help because taxes are due? Partnership taxes were due on the 15th, y'all. So if you extended and they're not turned in the United States, follow up, you know, and the other tax deadline is coming up. If you need help there, we have financial wellness resources. If you need help spiritually and your purpose and things that you struggle with, if you feel heavy, like you gotta work through things and you need support on that. We have spiritual wellness resources. If you are thinking about transitions in careers and you want to make sure that you don't lose yourself while also trying to be an asset to the teams that you're on, we have occupational wellness resources and social wellness resources. And that's where I would start. Why am I not folding all my laundry all the time? You know, why does my kitchen look crazy? And again, back to the mirrors, I think that's what will show you. It's not the people because we can't control them, but it's the things that we can control in our life that's an unorganized desk. And even if it's not a desk, it's the different things in our life. Maybe the lack of very strict systems calms your nervous system. If you're that person, like, know that about yourself. But that can be the mirror to show you what you need so you can be really intentional and effective with the community that you're building.
Mhm. We've definitely moved away from Goop wellness, and I'm not sure if you've heard about Goop in the States, but Gwyneth
Mm,
Paltrow's unaccessible wellness, which was basically products that would cost over $200. And so that's
okay.
really not wellness. That's like, another colonialist version of wellness. But what you really
Mm,
speak of, it's that what is that one action you can do every day that fills your cup, that comes from your truth and that deep inquiry with yourself. So let's go to how SheaGlo started.
like you said, the deep inquiry within yourself. And one of the things that reminded me of is this bruise on my, what is this, Lord? Shin, right?
Yeah.
I opened the car door and like banged my shin the other day. I said, Shh, it's gonna bruise. And that's how Shealo Glo was. It's me checking in with my skin, right? Sometimes I forget that I have sensitive skin because I use Shealo Glo every day, and it's been like forever since I've had to really worry about it like that. So here we go with the chapter story. I was on the bus and we were getting dressed. Everybody's putting the rest of their stuff on, putting their towels in the bags. This is like high school. And we're about to go back to the church. We had just went to the lake. And I thought I had put lotion on and was gonna go to the next phase of whatever I was doing, and the skin on my shoulder was still white, and that's not normal for what I usually see. I thought it was a discoloration on my skin from the band tank tops that I was wearing to band practice because I played flute. So we were out there, it was marching season. And so I was surprised that it still looked that way because again, I thought that I put lotion on, but sometimes my memory slips. So I put lotion on again and it was still white. And I said, what is going on? Eventually, I get to the dermatologist. They don't necessarily know what it is. They say you have a pH imbalance on your skin. And I didn't even know about pH and the different places that pH should be considered. Okay, there's an imbalance of bacteria on top of the skin. That makes sense. So, again, they didn't necessarily know what it was. I think it might be some form of eczema. I still don't have an official diagnosis. Um, but they told me to soak in Selsun every day for 15 minutes before the shower. And Selsun Blue is not a big bottle. So it's like this little skinny bottle, probably like the shape of my hands right here, right? A dandruff shampoo that I was supposed to soak on. And through COVID, all these showers, it would have been crazy. So
Mm.
I started using shea butter, fell in love with this company that I was fine. Yes.
How did you find shea butter? So you went from this small bottle that that the doctor gave you, which
Okay.
probably is not great for your skin,
Right.
to where do we find shea butter?
So that's a great question. Thank you so much. So, what was I using? My favorite lotion at this time was Palmer's. And was it, I think it was cocoa
Smells
butter,
good.
right? It
Smells
smells,
good.
oh my, come on, Palmer's. It's so good. And the Selsun bottle is about the same size, right? So I loved it. But for me growing up, Palmer's was kind of expensive. I used it fast. What did you pay to make it? Like, what is it worth right now? What are we talking about? So I had been going through this grading system and trying to figure out what I liked on my skin. And Palmer's cocoa butter was the best thing. I knew from young girls that I went to school with, Meredith and Emily, talking to different people in band, knowing what they use. They love cocoa butter, right? Which was surprising because they were white girls. And so again, people they're like, yeah, I know what to use and all this stuff. Like we have expectations. And everybody deals with it. But if you listen to your body will tell you. And so they use cocoa butter. And so we all knew about it. I can't remember my first introduction to it, so that's a great question. But again, my favorite product that I was using was this one that I found in Atlantic Station. And I was thinking about when I started falling in love with products like this, and it took me back to this trip to Dollywood. Do you know what Dollywood is? You know who Dolly Parton is?
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yes. So she has an amusement park called Dollywood. And I went when I was growing up.
Amazing.
Yes,
I did not know that.
butterflies, like,
I have to get
and
there.
yes, when they had this hand cream, Natalie, it was probably the best scent I've ever smelled. I said, "This smells so good." can I please buy this, please? Like, and so I love, really good smell goods, things that hydrated my skin and had been looking for it. And so I graduated to the shea butter. And it's crazy, Natalie, when we talk about knowing what to do and then what we actually do, right? Because like my bottles, you see the color rubbing off? This is what hers
Mm,
did. And so because
mm.
her labels rubbed off, I never had her information to go find it again. So I bought it a couple times, but lost contact and I updated my labels. But I'm like, I can't believe that I did what I knew not to do, but we do that sometimes, right? But I fell in love with the shea butter and I felt how my skin felt again. So yeah, that's how it started and it's been going great.
Now, with shea butter, so shea butter was actually able to remove your eczema, psoriasis. I know you don't have a diagnosis for the skin
Right.
condition. So shea butter is made out of like omega 6, 7, 8, and 9. It has that real protective layer, doesn't it?
Right, it's a sealant, right?
And
And so it's
sealant.
made out of the nuts of the shea tree, and so this is actually what the logo is. The 3 wings are leaves, the leaves of a shea tree, right? And so if you ever
Mm.
watch videos from you can watch it online on YouTube, right? Them making the shea butter from these nuts and the whole process that it goes through. But definitely a sealant. And so when we talk about the glow kit and the steps, right? Because we talked about the deodorant, the steps that I talk about in the chapter are the steps of the glow kit. And when I think about this woman who helped me when I was younger, right? First, you got to clean the skin. That's the dark brown sugar scrub. You can use it on your whole body. You can use it on your head, your nails, your cuticles, and your feet, right? Then you're going to replenish it with this oil you just saw me have. And you see, I use it. And so it has the dropper.
So, so if the shea
You have,
butter, it comes in a butter, doesn't it? The shea butter. Yeah. So you do the scrub.
yes.
That's really beautiful. I was so lucky. A friend went to Cameroon and bought me a whole tub of shea butter.
Yeah.
And I noticed the reason I hadn't been doing it every day is that it is a little bit of commitment, scooping it out and putting over your whole body, and then you need to
Yes.
air before you put clothes on.
Mhm, mhm.
But so I stopped doing it every day just because, like, I only allow myself ten minutes before I go out the door.
I got you.
However, it's the full moon at the moment, and so I have a lot of baths at the moment just to, like, cleanse and connect and meditate. And then afterwards, my practitioner, she said, "Put shea butter on after your bath and just, like, lie out in front of the moon." And I tell you what, Shannon, I felt like this is the most heavenly experience. My body feels incredible.
Wow.
So that's gonna be my new mantra. So yeah, I would love to hear how the steps. So you have to exfoliate the
I
skin,
got
which is
you.
so important. You put the shea
Yes.
butter on
Yes.
and
And
you put it over your whole, because sometimes when I suggest shea butter, a lot of people come back to me and say it takes a lot of time. What I've
mhm,
experienced. And also it's
yes.
a bit sticky to put my clothes on straight away. So what
Mhm,
is your
mhm.
advice to that?
Got you. So we fixed that, right? And
Amazing.
and so let's also say, so one, we fixed it. Two, a caveat is shea butter is going to do that. So you will still have to sink it in. Okay. So I'm not saying this is a magic wand and we fix all the things that we're talking about, but one, you see it's like actually like butter, right? Like a container of
Mm.
butter. Ours is melted, not whipped. And so usually
Ah,
you
okay.
might put it in literally a huge mixer, like a cake batter, and mix everything together, right? And it creates this beautiful, airy texture. This is when you're mixing it, not when it's raw shea butter, right? Because you guys are probably talking about raw shea butter by itself. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
But this
Yeah.
is the spectrum, right? This is a spectrum.
Mm.
And most people, if they don't see raw shea butter, they see whipped shea butter. Mine has organic coconut oil and organic aloe in it. So what I was using,
Ooh,
mhm,
that's
right?
beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So,
I just wanted to highlight from a naturopathic perspective for anybody that has any ailments, particularly with the coconut oil, is prevents from bacteria, viruses, etc., like that. It nourishes your skin. It goes into your deep tissue with the aloe as well, which also is, in makeup, how you put a primer on your skin. So the aloe is really great for that. So that's so beautiful.
Thank you
And
so much.
you wouldn't even have to wear, makeup or even because it's a natural SPF, isn't it? It
Yes,
protects
it
your
is.
skin from the
It
SPF.
is SPF of 3, right? And depending on what your preference is and what you need will dictate the SPF that you need, right? But yeah, Shealo Glo is SPF of 3. And so that's where the name comes from. The shea is the shea butter. Aloe is the aloe, right? So Shealo, and then the glow is your skin. And that's why we talk about glowing from head to toe. So again, the
Mm.
shea butter with the coconut oil and the aloe. So you asked me how was I using it, Natalie? I was loving this product, right? And I didn't buy it again. I wasn't going to Atlantic Station every week. Like I probably shouldn't be shopping every week. That was, one of my financial wellness habits I had to work with, right? But I knew I needed it. So I went to the raw shea butter. And like you're saying, it was waxy, it was hard to use. It took a long time to use. And sometimes I would use coconut oil. And coconut oil was quicker, but it wasn't lasting all day. And it was moisturizing, but was it moisturizing all the way, you know? And so both together, I was like, "Oh, this is great." And so I was using both together. And so that's why I started making the product for myself. I added the aloe in it for the healing because that's always been big. Growing up as a little girl, they're like, "Don't cut yourself, don't hurt yourself." Like, how is that possible to not get bruises? Like I run into stuff all the time. Like I need Shealo Glo. I told you I have bruises right now. And then the oil. Shalo's oil, and this is a second step, right, has MCT coconut oil. Not only is that
Mm.
usually a brain supplement, right? But this is what's gonna pull it into your skin, and we put it in the formulation on purpose because of that, because we know that shea butter sits on top, and it will sink into your skin, and the coconut oil by itself will help with that, right? So if you only get the butter, you're gonna have what you need. You're gonna have the oil, you're gonna have the aloe, you're gonna have the sealant, and it will soak into your skin. Again, do not hop into a brand new white polo shirt immediately. Do not. Like, don't jump into your white bed with the rose petals immediately. Don't do that. Don't be upset. You know what I mean? Like, just know that, yes, let it soak in for a second, but it will soak in, but it will definitely soak in quicker and deeper if we have the Shalo's oil because of the MCT coconut oil. And then it's going to have grapeseed oil and avocado oil. So there's still really strong carrier oils, right? It's gonna have a good body for the weight of the oil, but it's also gonna be lighter if you like a lighter moisture than the shea butter. Again, you won't have the sealant, right, which is important, but it will be thicker oil to rejuvenate your skin, and it goes into your skin.
So it really reaches the deeper layer of pores or down to your epidermis. Wow.
Yes.
And I really loved how you mentioned glow from head to toe. And I think that's really important because it highlights that the glow doesn't come out of our outside. It's not through a product, but through this whole almost like a ritual that you've created that has evolved from your deeper experiences and requirements and such a healing tool. It is like an internal to outer worldly glow. I think that's really special and puts a different spin on our self care beauty experiences. That is also a health requirement, too.
Yes. Yes, thank you
Mm.
so much. Yes, and it is definitely a health requirement. Like, I think about people who I don't wanna say struggle with because no matter what we deal with, I hope that it's, you know, as easeful as possible, and I know that's not always the situation, but what I was gonna say is who struggle with diabetes. I'm still trying to wrap my mind around not being able to feel my feed and having to intentionally check, because if I don't check, it might be however long before I realize something's going on with my body? These are different things that people are struggling with, and so to check in a proactive way is definitely a requirement. When we look at the rates of chronic illness and things like that, you'll have to do it on one side of the timeline, and I would rather do it in a way where I can romanticize it, and it can definitely be within 10 minutes. You can make it longer. You can make a whole massage session stretch.
And I think it's the ultimate self care practice because, as you say, we don't want to get to a stage where we're getting a diagnosis from the doctor. We want to be at a stage where we're doing all of the preventative methods as possible. And that
Right.
starts with the check in because, as you know, it takes 10, 20 years for cancer, diabetes to happen in the body. It doesn't happen
Yeah.
overnight, and it's the
Wow.
repetition of all of your habits. So I love this. The massage
Thank you.
is the check-in. It's like, okay, there's tension in my shoulders, or there's a bit of numbness here, or I don't have great circulation. Why? And then investigating, okay, today I probably shouldn't have gummy bears. At least it's not
Yes.
that numbing out of
Mhm.
the sensation and cues that you receive.
Yes. And I love what you said because it is about the lifestyle. It's not about the diet. I've said it's a lifestyle. Is it or is it like I just realized that yesterday. But that's the thing, is that sometimes you do say yes. If you're super focused on no, I don't eat brownies, no, I don't eat chocolate, we're not eating sugar right now. I need to be healthy. You're just thinking about sugar, sugar, sugar. Like, what are you doing? Let's not count calories. Let's count fruits and vegetables. Let's count glasses of water when time outside. And when we look at those things and build it into a lifestyle, it makes it so much easier. It takes less willpower, which leaves more room for other decisions, right? We're making decisions from a better place, a more centered place, a healthier place. And then we can really be in a position to help those that we love in a healthy way, not an overextension or anything like that, but from a place of love and authentic health.
So, where are you now within the community, the podcast, Women Connected in Wisdom?
Yes.
Where are you in this stage of your evolution?
Such a good question. As a business owner, I'm in a stage of reevaluating what I need. When we talk about women connected in wisdom and how we started, me meeting Joe and Christine having this group that they were starting, us meeting weekly, and then eventually Christine and I starting this podcast. This group that we were part of was an entrepreneurial group. I didn't have a business yet, right? And it was very apparent to me that I didn't have a business, even as a network marketer, because I didn't own the business, right? This was a product rollout that was rolled out to me. And it was based on this amazing company, right? With amazing products. And the products weren't necessarily aligned to fit me as a salesperson, right? I had opportunities in my sales skills and follow-up skills and different things that I'm still working on. So there's reasons that it wasn't the best alignment, but it was still this great company. But I knew talking to business owners, I do want to be a business owner. I want to be able to, move things a certain way, set myself up a certain way, and speak from a certain place instead of feeling like I had this pseudo authority when it wasn't really my company that I was talking about. It just kind of felt like I should be aligned different. To now, and it's been over 5 years. Now I have
Mm,
3 companies, and am doing other things like we
wow.
talk about. And so it's been beautiful to watch it grow. I've gone from the young 20-something-year-old woman in the group, right, who didn't have any businesses to the publisher of the Amazon bestsellers who are still on this Zoom call. And now you're my narrators and my guest speakers and my co-hosts for wellness events and things like that. It's a completely different position. And so I want to be a good steward of the opportunity and make sure that as the levels change, recalibrates with it.
It's really inspiring. I
Thank
really
you so
think that
much.
that will inspire so many people,
Mm.
so many women. I know it's tough out there. I know you mentioned it at the beginning, but you've really seized the moment and you've really backed yourself and took courage. But I feel like we talk about a lot as this big kind of masculine thing. But I think courage is really an open heart, and courage is vulnerability, isn't it? Could you speak to this?
So when we talk about vulnerability and courage, yes, it takes vulnerability to say, hey, you might have hurt my feelings when you said this, right? I don't even know if I would say it that way, but this is how I might feel, right? Like you hurt my feelings when you said this. And then the next sentence, it'll take boldness to also hold a boundary, well, oh, I didn't mean it like that, XYZ said. I understand that. And I appreciate that you feel that way. And that's why I love our friendship. I just wanted to bring it up so that, and just holding space for yourself. And that could look like rest. That could look like sharing a plan and being organized.
And then that really goes into what we're really speaking about, her daily rhythm. That is, there is a rhythm within a rhythm within a rhythm.
There is.
So I would love to ask you a couple of quick fire questions that we ask every guest.
Yes.
So it's just the first thing that comes to you. So tell me how you live in rhythm.
Mm. And we've kind of talked about it, right? It's if I don't do anything else, I do ask, what do I need today? Right? So it's not, is my rhythm always the same? It's, am I on rhythm for today? And even if I know I'm 45 minutes behind where I thought I would, I don't like to rush, so it's not, oh, I'm 45 minutes behind and I rush the rest of the day. It's just a noting. Okay, I'm 45 minutes behind. So now let me think about what I have for the rest of the day and what would happen if that moved 45 minutes? Do I need to catch up? Is there something that I need to change or pivot? Or do I let it push 45 minutes? Or do I stop and let it push an hour and a half and give myself 45 minutes so I can catch up and recenter?
I love that. Do
Yes.
you have cheat days, and what would you do?
So have the intention of not cheating, right? Of no cheat days. But then I learned that you do have to give and take. And sometimes you don't have to like never have gummy bears again. Like these Albanese are good, they're gluten free, it's great, but they will happen and they do happen, right? So initially I was like, maybe I make a certain day of the week a cheat day. But I felt like now I'm looking forward to that day. And the point is to look Friday, like Thursday, I can't wait. Like, oh my goodness. Like, no, I want to have that joy for the healthy parts that I'm building into the habits, right? So what I do instead is follow the law, right? Just different laws and non-negotiables that I have for myself. So stay on the healthy path, right? Run the healthy race. And if you think about something, entertain it and see why, right? Lemon drops, they come, no, but we're not doing alcohol. So that's a no. It's like a little tennis ball. I've been playing pickleball. It's a no. You just toss it back out. No, no, no. But something else. Definitely consider my cycle and the fact that I'm on camera and stuff. Like, I don't want to be breaking out on the 20th. I've been thinking about you all week. Like, I gotta make sure my skin is good. So, and that's why it was gummy bears and not chocolate. Okay.
I love the reference to gummy bears, because gummy bears used to be my favorite. I would
Yeah.
hoover a whole pack. Yeah. I don't do that anymore. It's career suicide, but your taste buds change. I have different things now.
Yeah.
So what do you do on those days that everyone
Yeah.
around you seems to be like really irritating? When you're like, oh my God, these people are just being so stupid. What do you do on those days? And then how do you come back into balance?
Yeah. So it shows me that I might be out of balance, right? And if I feel like that's what they're showing me, and they usually don't, again, am I okay? What's going on with me? And are they okay? And usually after you get through those two questions and everything that might happen, you're on the other side and people feel different. Um, but yes, check in with myself, right? Because if somebody is, for example, I had somebody who was charging at me one night. I'm a kitchen manager closing this kitchen, huge gentleman walking towards me. He's upset, right? I have to check myself and make sure that I handle my team a certain way, and then check with him to see what my team member needs because I'm responsible for making sure that he's taken care of in the space. What's going on? What do I need to do in this situation? Is usually still myself, center myself. I do that in a couple of different ways. In that moment, all you can do is take a breath, right? But then after that, because I'm realizing, hey, this was a difficult moment, I would do deep breaths, whether that's HeartMath. Have you heard of HeartMath?
I have indeed. Would you like to
Okay.
tell everybody? I love HeartMath.
Yes. I love it. I love it.
I'm
So,
so happy that you use it too. That's really cool.
yes. And band, like that's why I'm realizing band and breath work and stuff has been so instrumental. I guess
Sorry,
pun
you
intended.
said you said band?
Band, yes. I played flute for 7 years.
Oh, sorry, playing in the band. Yeah.
Yes,
Flute.
yes, yes, yes.
I
Yes.
tried it for 2 years, but I couldn't do the whole.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wasn't my
I
thing.
mean, you did it for 2 years, but I hear what you're saying.
I was 5.
Yeah.
I got the
Okay.
belt if I didn't.
Uh,
Yeah, it's
I
fine.
hear you. Yes, yes. So, where we were talking about breathing
Our
and heart math. So,
HeartMath.
the way I think
Mhm.
about it and the way I share it is either 4, a count of 4 or a count of 5, right? But you put your hands on your heart. You can do it without putting your hands on your heart. What I realize is that I actually need to. I didn't realize how in my head I was, but I need to put my hands on my heart to think about it, right? And you breathe in for 4, out for 4. Or you can choose to do 5, and you do a couple of breaths, and it centers you into your body. When you're controlling your breathing that way and you're lowering your rate, your heartbeats per minute, it's bringing you out of fight or flight and literally reestablishing homeostasis, right? Which is a calm state again. And so, again, first responders won't always be able to put their hands on their hearts. So, you might do this in a few deep breaths. I did this in a second. This gentleman is walking towards me. I said, okay. And I said what I said, and the situation was handled and everything was fine. Um, so, that's one thing I do to center myself. I do this in moments when I step away, but I know I have to step back, and I do it at the beginning of me trying to go deeper and meditate and feel my heart rate on the bottom of this is something I do, the soles of my feet, right? Can you feel your whole body? And can I feel it? How tuned in am I to my whole body? When I'm doing things like that, I'm bringing myself back home to myself and really checking in. Because as a leader, when I speak to people, I try to give my complete undivided attention. So if I give you my undivided attention and treat you like the most important person in the world when I'm talking to you, of course, I want to, and I'm working on getting better at, right? Doing that for myself. And are you really checking in? When you say, "Are you okay?" Are you really okay? We talk about community. This is what else I do.
I want you to talk to people that probably aren't aware that normal mainstream candles are not great for people with respiratory problems,
Right.
asthma, they're toxic.
Mhm,
So it's
mhm.
this whole piece around toxicity that is in our homes, and isn't
Right.
the research stating that our homes can be more toxic than outside?
Wow, that's great. So just being mindful of how to use products in the right way. And like you were saying earlier, I do absolutely think it's a requirement to read the ingredients labels. Let's know what we're putting in our bodies. I saw this study about um, hot dogs increasing cholesterol in children by 700%. I said, that's a great test average, like
700.
100, 700. I said, that has to be on purpose.
700. Wow,
It's crazy.
700%. But that's also amazing that they have done the study now, but it's taken 30 years too late, right? But equally, great awareness is empowerment, isn't it?
Yes.
And so I just want to go back to your candle because I think this is
Mhm.
really important because candle space is, ritual. It's got the nice aromas. We all like candles. So can you tell me
Yes.
why beeswax?
Yes. So beeswax, because of the company first, right? Because doing my research study in product development for Shealo Glo, I had decided no to beeswax. I had decided
Oh,
no to cocoa butter, right? Because I specifically wanted this 100% natural African shea butter and the consistency that it has when it's melted, when it has coconut oil in it. That's what I wanted. And beeswax is very different, right? It's still a sealant, but it's different. And so this company I had the opportunity to retail with, we were on Spark Lab, well, in Spark Lab on Auburn Avenue. It's a historic street in Atlanta. And this company was coming in, right? We had space for 4 companies. Shealo Glo was the first company. And at first I said, is this not very closely aligned with Shealo Glo? Like, is this not direct competition to my products, right? It'll work, XYZ. I said, okay. And not again that I am opposed to competition, but I don't see other people as competition, right? It's important to know who's in the market as far as
hmm.
brands and products. And so I was trying to make sure that I did my due diligence because that's been something I've been working on. Our relationship, me and Sarita's relationship, our brands are a beautiful example of collaboration over competition. right? This
Mm.
beeswax candle on top of the shea butter, phew, I'm telling you, my goodness, changed my life, you know? And if Sarita, as a business owner, had not been in Spark with me through everything that we dealt with in Atlanta and had the opportunity to learn as business owners and grow, like, my experience would have been completely different. So she covered me as a person, her candles covered me as a
Mm.
product, and, I love the sage, and so it's been really grounding, and again, just breathe in, breathe out. You are taken care of, you have what you need, and your community can grow in beautiful ways when you allow it to, because if I had operated differently, I could have been catty, could have never tried her product, could have been rude, like, it would have been horrible, you know?
I think that's
Yeah,
that's the piece, is that there is no competition actually,
right,
because you are
right.
so unique with your story, your vision, your magic.
Mm,
And if we can just build each other up and create partnerships and collaboration and exchange, going back to our original discussion, is that women are the original entrepreneurs. So it's just sharing and we can learn something different. I've got a couple more questions for you.
yes,
So,
yes.
what is your one statement to hype your girlfriends?
Oh, so I was thinking about this last night, and I say, "Well, you can go work at Crystal's.
You can go work
Go
at
work at
Crystal?
go work at Crystal's." You know what Crystal's is?
Sorry.
It's a fast food restaurant. And they
Okay,
have,
okay.
like, little burgers on these little buns. So, there was this time in college, I went back home with 2 of my friends, they're from Carrollton, and I joked about them only having a Crystal's restaurant in their city. Not like I grew up in a bigger city, I passed cows on my bus ride home, but it's just something that we would joke about. And so, I was in psychology. My degree was fairly easier compared to their chemistry classes and everything for physical therapy and Christian Science, you know, so they'd be taking these really difficult class like, we'd be in our dorm talking about college and, you know, our difficulties on that level, like we were talking about the different levels. And I said, "Well, y'all can go work at Crystals if you want to." They're like, "No, Shannon, we're not working at Crystals." I said, "Listen, I will mail you an application. What do you wanna do? Like, what do you wanna do?" And
So it's
they
like
have,
that
their doctorates and masters now. Yeah.
so it's like that reversal.
Yes.
And so I know we've spoken about this a lot, but I guess on those days that you're having a bad day, where do you get your
Yeah.
motivation from?
Why am I down today? Right? I'm down because my classes are difficult. It's the end of
Mm.
the semester, right? It's been a long 4 years. I'm about to graduate and I'm tired. Those are great things. You can read, you can write. I went to college and it was paid for. You know what I mean? And so I start stacking up like the odds that I'm actually here and not complaining, but sharing about where I'm at. Even though I can still say, yes, this weight that I'm squatting is 85 pounds, it's the weight that it is, and that's fair. But outside of that, I'm so glad I can bear this weight. You know, there's other people that wish they could be talking about psychology classes in college, and that's what they have those are the frustrations they have to work through, instead of where I'm gonna bathe today because I'm sleeping in my car, or where I'm gonna put my stuff because all of my stuff is under this bridge, you know? And we can all find ourselves in these different, um, situations, and so when I think about what has me down, and then how far I've come, and how far I believe I have to go, I'm just grateful, you know, grateful to God for the extra credit and helping me get in the right classes, connected to the right teachers, to get this scholarship, to connect me to this person, and slowly just step me from one step to another. And so that's what I go back to, that I am
Mm.
loved, that I am taken care of, that the water that I'm flailing about thinking I'm going to drown, I'm not going to drown. I can breathe and it's okay. And if it hurts, okay, where does it hurt? Okay, what can you do? You need to call somebody? Let's call somebody. Okay. Are you calling the right people though? You know, and just like make sure that we are intentional and that, and then from there, from pouring back into my cup, facials, right? Baths, rest time, journaling, devotional, praying about the, praying about it, right? The things I can control, and that I'm a good steward of the opportunities and the resources and the things that I can't. And that the people I love that I cannot save and wasn't made to, that they will get what they need in the time that they're supposed to need it, just like I did. And I can trust that. just like the sun coming up and the moon staying in the sky.
Ashe. That's it. I think you're just beginning as well.
Thank
You're
you.
rebirthing into a new rendition of yourself, a new
Yes.
season, a new time with greater awareness, courage, but mostly leading with your heart and being an incredible example for
Thank
women older, women younger, and for the men in your world. So I just want
mm,
to say thank you.
wow.
And most importantly, where can people find you? First of all, how do we buy Shealo Glo?
Yes,
How do we listen to
yes,
your podcast? And how do we buy your book? And
yes.
then how do we
So
connect with you to be a fangirl?
oh, I love it. So one, all of them on my link tree, right? On my
Okay,
link
great.
tree, and you can find my link tree on any of my social media platforms. So that's the real Shannon Mitchell on Instagram. For Shealo Glo, that's Shealo Glo on Instagram, SheaLoglo. And connect with me. I'll reach back out and get you taken care of with the products that you need for where you are, right? Women Connected in Wisdom is at Women Connected in Wisdom podcast. That's for the social media and for the website. On the Women Connected in Wisdom podcast, you can find all of our Women Connected in Wisdom resources. That's the book, the conference links, and different things that we'll have available. And the books are also on Amazon. The podcast, if you wanna listen to us each week, we go live at 5, and that's gonna be Spotify, Apple Music, any of your podcast platforms, and if you're on a platform and you're not finding it, reach out to us and we can add it. And if you wanna join us live for the conversation, and I think this is everything, that'll be on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. Again, live at 5 Eastern Standard Time, 5 PM each week.
What day?
Wednesday.
Wednesday, 5 p.m.
Yes.
Eastern Standard Time. Oh, okay.
Yes.
I'll definitely tune in live as well.
Yes. Oh, I would love that. I would love that. I look forward to having you on the show. You know, the rhythm is so important. When we talk about maintaining our wellness and our wisdom in action, what are we actually doing, right? And each day, what's today's pace? You know, it's about sustainability. You know, sometimes you could talk to people, but they may not have that experience or um, something that they say might upset you more. Like you never know what's gonna happen when you come in and neutrally ask for feedback or have conversations with people and get their opinions. So encouraging myself through praise and worship and remembering that no weapon formed against me shall prosper. That it might look difficult right
Hmm.
now, but if I look it in its face and deal with it, there hasn't been anything I haven't been able to deal with. And there hasn't been anything that I haven't survived through. So if you're listening, I just want you to know you got this. And overall, when I was thinking about today's conversation and what I do to take care of myself, I was thinking about just staying covered, right? Definitely gotta stay covered with Shealo Glo, going outside. It literally, and I talk about this in the book, right? Seals your immune system because that's what your skin is supposed to do is to protect there for your body. But if it's not sealed, it's just open, right? There was a time I went into a collaboration and I came out like, why am I not okay right now? Like, I thought it was a good conversation. Like, we were talking about friendship, and I was like, I kind of feel weird though. Like, that's kind of weird to feel that way after the conversation I thought we had. And I realized you went into that room, you didn't pray over the conversation, you didn't pray over yourself, you didn't hold your non-negotiables, you just ran in to help other people and you were not covered.
Hmm.
Like, you don't know what was in that room. Like,
Hmm.
so you want to make sure make sure it's covered so you know what's in the room and know what you're walking into, and that you have what you need. And then that's from the inside too. That's water and kombucha to stay balanced with your pH in your gut because the pH in your gut is directly connected to the balance of your brain. And so when all those things are covered, you're in a really good place to be able to do your best for that day.
I think Shea Glow is a metaphor for life because, as you say,
Mm,
it's that protection. And it's almost like the external world is around us. There's so many threats coming in,
mhm,
certain
mhm,
personalities that want to take
mhm.
our energy. So it's like zipping yourself up.
Yes. Yep.
And I just want to quickly address, because you've really spoken
Yes.
this and it's interwoven in the conversation, is that your relationship with faith. And if you didn't have faith,
Mm.
how would your life be different?
So it was so interesting going through your questions, right? And Natalie, this is what it showed me. I said, how am I, women connected in wisdom, these questions about connecting to community and why women's community is so important? I said, why is it important? I know why it's important to me, right? Because I didn't know my mom for 12 years. And then when I met her, she got sick and then she passed away. I know that my dad was adopted and we didn't keep in contact with his adopted family. So I didn't know my mom's family. I didn't know my dad's family. As a black woman in America, my hair was permed. I didn't know my hair texture, didn't know myself. 23andMe finally emailed me back weeks late on this DNA test. Okay. The DNA test is late. I'm just out here floating, that's how it felt. And so it's, well, who am I and who do I want to be? What type of person do I want to be? When I was younger, I was stealing stuff and cussing. I'm talking about like 5. Like,
Mm.
"Shannon, you look like a criminal. What's going on? What type of person do you wanna be?" That's not me. And I knew that when I got older, it's crazy. I said, "If I have a store, I don't want somebody stealing stuff from me." And not that I was stealing from stores, but it was other things, which is like, you don't justify it, like, let's not do that. And now, like I said, I had a retail space with Zanaya Naturals, and yeah, it's been beautiful. So just choosing who you wanna be, and that changes in different seasons, and that's when the rhythm changes, and you just go with it.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah.
Beautiful.
Oh, but you asked me about the faith, and again,
Yeah.
that's what it sums it up. What do you go with? Which voice do you listen to? Because sometimes there's different voices and different things, and again, that's why it's important to know what the word actually says, just like the research, just like the business systems. You come back to that anchor so that when you're trusting but verifying, you have something to verify it against. Or, like you said, social media and different things, you'll have 5 different articles pulled up and they'll say completely different things. Like, I got to know what I'm actually anchored down to. And for me, because it wasn't family, because it wasn't my mom, who is this person that I'm supposed to be a copy of, I didn't have that person in front of me. It created this beautiful opportunity for me to build intentional community because I was active and intentionally saying, okay, who am I going to ask questions to when I have questions? And there's been a list of women throughout my life. And even them, I need to sift their advice and what they say, sift the way that they think about me. And so it's me and God at the center of everything, and then everything else is outside of that. And again, through situation and situation, I've seen my grades not be enough. But because I was in honors classes, that curved my grades up to a certain place to where I could qualify for these scholarships. How did I get in honors classes? I wasn't even supposed to be. It was a whole thing. And I can say in each situation again, and I'll wrap with this, that it wasn't my own strength. That I know in this situation, if you put black and white, what Shannon had and what it took, I never had enough. I did my best. So we're mad. Like I did my best. And there's always going to be an opportunity to need God. And because I've submitted and said, okay, what do you have for me? Where should I go? How should I navigate this? And submitted it, the extra credit has come, and it's been beautiful to build on thing after thing.
Mm. Wow. You're a co-creator of the universe in its true definition.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shannon. Thank you. Thanks
Yes,
so much.
you're welcome.